All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and I hope everyone is having a good week. We are a few days away from Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury 3. I just saw the press conference. Actually, I saw when it was live. Didn't want to go live. I didn't want to jump on live because I didn't see a point. I wanted to listen to what everything they were saying, and it was actually surprisingly pretty good. I didn't know what to really expect. I know when they had the original press conference, that's the one that Wilder didn't speak in, he didn't talk at all. He had his headphones on. He ignored all questions, and we really didn't get much outside of the one-on-one interviews that we got after the press conference. You saw him on, I think, ES News. You saw him on 78 Sports TV. We really haven't gotten much outside of the YouTube channels that Wilder has, directly, deals with. And then with Fury, Fury went on, and you know how Fury is, he's really animated and stuff. He did a lot of talking. What I did like about the interview, though, is that they asked all the questions that I wanted to hear. So the lady that was asking all the questions, and I like that she was kind of controlling and commanding the interview. I think a little bit, like certain parts I thought she was doing a little too much, like when she was asking Fury to sit down and stuff. I'm like, what do you need him to sit down for? This is an interview. If he wants to talk, you ask the questions, he answers the questions. As long as you're getting a reaction from him, it doesn't matter if he's standing, he doesn't have to sit. So this one thing to command the interview, all right, and ask questions and get the responses, but it's another thing when you overdo it. But I like the fact that she was asking the questions to Wilder, to Fury, about training, preparation, and I like the questions about the allegations. Now, the one thing that I liked about Fury is, especially in the beginning when it was his turn to talk, this is before Javon Sugar Hill and Malik Scott. I like that Fury was like responding to all of those allegations. I like the fact that Philly was like, listen, if you had said one thing, you know, maybe people would have believed you, but you had like 50 things. And he started to name. He said, you complain about the ref, you complain about the costume, you complain about the gloves, you complain about the water being spiked. He brought up all of that. Like, he's been in tune with what's going on. And at the beginning, Wilder was just kind of keeping it easy. He was being real chill. I didn't really think we was going to get much out of him, right? And then they interviewed both coaches, right? They interviewed Malik Scott. Now, this is the thing. I like what Malik Scott had to say. I actually liked a lot of things he said. I don't agree with everything he says, but I like the way that he's coming off and the way he's just addressing everything. All right. He hasn't really been deep into all the drama. He's just pretty much telling you what he's doing and how he's preparing Wilder for this fight. And I know most people don't agree with Malik Scott and his way of preparation. People don't feel that Malik Scott is at the level of a trainer as Sugar Hill, and they don't feel like the way he's training Wilder is not going to make Wilder any better. Malik Scott is taking the approach, and you don't have to agree with it, but he's saying, listen, I'm not trying to teach Wilder all these new tricks. I am trying to bring the best out of Wilder. There's things that I know he's capable of doing, but he don't normally do it in his fights. There's things that I've seen, and he gave actual examples, and I respected it, because I know a lot of people feel that Wilder needs a new trainer, right? A lot of people feel that just sticking with the same camp is not going to teach you anything. But at the same time, I feel that Wilder, being that he's 35 years old, right, and he's gone this whole way fighting the same way, I think at this stage, it's probably better that he sticks to someone that really knows how he fights and has been there for a long time. Wilder says he trusts Malik Scott. He gives him his life, and if you have someone that you feel that way about, maybe you should stick with him. If Malik Scott can work on some of these things that he knows them better than we all do as fans. Yes, we know what Wilder does in the fights, right? But if this guy is sure that he knows what the best Wilder could be, maybe it's better that I was talking before about muscle memory and just making Wilder do things that he probably could do. And I've seen him do things too that he just doesn't stick to. And normally that's my biggest issue with Wilder. Wilder has never really been in a type of danger to a point where he had to adjust or he had to work on things in camp leading up to a fight. All right, we've seen Wilder fight a little bit more serious. Like when he fought Ortiz, especially the first time, I felt like Wilder in that fight, regardless of who you thought was winning the rounds, I felt in that fight he was being a lot more serious in that fight because there's a level of danger in that fight. You know, I know people don't really respect Ortiz like that because Ortiz really didn't fight anybody and stuff like that. But I mean, going into that fight, at that point, that was Wilder's most dangerous opponent, you know? And when I watched that fight, I noticed right away, like, okay, Wilder is being extremely cautious as opposed to a Gerald Washington. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is I don't know. This is the thing. Malik Scott can bring the best out of Wilder. He could take these tools out of the tool set. He said something about the tool shed, right? If he knows that Wilder is capable of doing things that we don't normally see because he doesn't feel the need to do it, if he can bring that out of Wilder and make Wilder the best version of what he is, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if it's enough, you know? So if Wilder's going into a Tyson Fury fight, what do? Do you bring the best out of Wilder? Or do you change Wilder to possibly, you know, be a better boxer than Fury? We don't know how the outcome of this fight is. We don't know. Like, most people believe that Fury's going to win this fight. Why? Because he destroyed Wilder in the second fight. And a lot of people believe that he won the first fight as well. Whatever. But Fury, what is Fury known for? He's not known for his power. He's known for being the best boxer up there at the heavyweight division, right? The most skilled, right? People call him the most skilled boxer, all right? That's the reputation he has. Wilder has the reputation of having that big right hand. Fury has been very successful in neutralizing that big right hand that Deontay Wilder has, right? But there's things that Malik Scott is claiming that there's things that Wilder can do that he just doesn't do in these fights because he sticks to the game plan. If he can make Wilder change up and switch up his punch selection, his setups, he said something about defense. You know what? Don't just parry shots. Move your head, slip shots. He's being very direct, and he's giving us examples of what he feels Wilder can change. I don't know where to go with that because I just want to see the results. I'm not going to tell you which is the better plan because we only know one plan, and the plan is they chose Malik Scott's plan to bring the best out of what Wilder is capable of, as opposed to bringing someone new in the game and teaching Wilder new tricks. You know, just like Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant has Andre Ward working with him. I don't think he's his complete coach, but Andre Ward has been there working with Caleb Plant to prepare for this fight. So they're bringing someone else in to work on some things. That's not what Wilder is doing. Now, how do we know what's going to be enough? People argue the point that keeping Malik Scott is not enough. We won't know until the end of the fight. And even if Wilder did change, would that still be enough? Is that what we're saying? If Wilder brought in whoever, Freddie Roach, you know, if he brought in Freddie Roach, would that make him better? We don't know. What if Tyson Fury still beats him with a new coach that people respect? We don't know. Tyson Fury just might beat him anyway. All I know is, and all I care is the fight. Malik's going to go with his game plan. If he wins, people are going to give Malik's credit. Wilder obviously is going to get his credit, and then we can move on to the Dillian White situation, yada, yada, yada. So to continue the press conference, right? I like the fact, because at the end, Fury started talking. Now, I like Fury earlier in the interview because I like if Fury was addressing a lot of things that I wanted answers from Wilder. Because I want to hear from himself. I don't want to hear people on YouTube. I don't want to hear like what fans think of it. So Fury was going on, but it got to a point where he was kind of just rambling because Wilder's not saying anything. But there was a point where Wilder started to speak and he actually started to talk back. And some of his rebuttals were actually pretty good. Whether you agree with it or not, I actually enjoyed the rebuttals. I like the fact that Wilder, said something. He said a few things. I don't remember everything because it's been a few hours now, but I like the fact that Wilder came back and said, well, listen, you changed your game up in the second fight. If you feel that you won the first fight, why did you change your coach, the way that you fought, your weight, yada, yada, yada? I like that rebuttal. It doesn't matter if we agree with it. Like, I mean, in my response, I would have just been like, listen, what I did in the first fight clearly wasn't enough to the judges. So I had to change it up and knock you out. That's what I would have said if I was Tyson Fury. And maybe he did say that, but it started getting a little bit, the back and forth. I couldn't really understand what the both of them were saying, but I like the fact that Wilder started to talk back and he was very clear in what he was saying, because Wilder is not the best. He's not the greatest speaker. I'm not trying to diss him. I'm just being honest. He's not the greatest speaker. And I like the fact that he spoke clearly and he was very relaxed while he was doing it. He didn't seem like he was stuttering or anything. No, he was very clear and he was making some good points. And Fury at that point was just rambling and I couldn't even hear everything they were both saying, but I heard bits and pieces of it. So I kind of enjoyed it, man. I mean, it doesn't make me feel any different about the fight overall, but I enjoyed like the back and forth, and I enjoyed to listen to like the coaches who got respect. They clearly got respect for each other. The coaches, Malik Scott and Sugar Hill, they both got respect for each other, but I enjoyed it, it's just good. And I think, I don't know if it's going to change much. I was trying not to feed too much into it and overanalyze because I really don't care about the money and the success of it. I just kind of want the fight to be done so we can move on with this heavyweight stuff because I do want undisputed. I do want that. But overall, I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that Wilder spoke back. Like, I did see the costume, and I think the costume was dope. If you were here last year, I loved the costume last year. I just hated when Wilder said that the costume was too heavy. And that was the first thing. This is before Glovegate. This is before the Spike Water stuff. Wilder, the first thing we heard from Wilder or was reported from Wilder was that his costume was too heavy. And it sounded ridiculous when it came out because that was like one of the first things that came out. All right, then the whole towel stuff. Why was a towel being thrown in? There was complaint about the referee and stuff like that. That was one of the few things that we heard early on. And then everything happened with Glovegate. People brought back the first fight and all that stuff happened. All right. But I do like the costume. All right. And the new costume looks like the other one, but it looks better because now I got lasers going up. Listen, I don't care. Like, I do think it's cool. I just care about the fight, and as long as this costume is not too heavy or anything like that, I just don't want to say, that's like I told y'all the other day. I don't want to hear no excuse from either side after this fight is over. Y'all had 3 fights to get the job done. If you don't get it done, I don't care who wins. Wilder, Fury, if Wilder wins, obviously it'll be 1-1-1, right? But at that point, I don't care. I care about who wins this battle, I mean, who wins the war overall. And I don't want to see any more fights, at least not now. Maybe down the line, maybe after they both clean everything up. But I don't want to see no more fights in between them after this one. I'm good with just the 3. All right. So that's my views. Those are my thoughts on this whole situation, man. I still got to do a breakdown. And I'll probably have that out by tomorrow. I just haven't had time to rewatch the first fights. And I told you guys before, I pretty much can do a breakdown already, but I just like to like rewatch fights one last time just to notice anything that I didn't catch before, and I mainly want to watch those training videos that they did with Wilder, Team Wilder specifically. Fury looks heavy, so he's probably gonna do exactly what he did in the second fight, and that's what I'm assuming. But I do want to take a look at those videos with Wilder and Malik Scott hitting the mitts and stuff and see what they actually working on. Like I've seen most of them, but I actually want to watch like them all in like one period. All right. So anyway, that's my press conference review. I spoke on the costume, which don't really care about, but I still got more content this week that's gonna come out. I'm gonna be addressing this fight all week up until Saturday night, and where I go live. So definitely be here for the live commentary. Again, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, all right? Hit that bell notification button as well, and all of that. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.